Wilma Pearl Mankiller was the first woman to be elected chief of a major American Indian tribe. This was an incredible breakthrough in history. In Native American culture, women were expected to work at home and take care of the children. So when Mankiller became chief, she broke one of the biggest stereotypes in her culture. On November 18, 1945, Irene Mankiller gave birth to her in Tahlequah, Oklahoma. Mankiller's father was Charlie Mankiller. He was completely of Native descent. In fact, his grandfather walked the Trail of Tears in the 1830s. Her mother, however, was of Dutch and Irish ancestry. She was part of a 13-member family. Although her parents tried their best to feed them all, it was very difficult. So her father decided it was best to take the government offer to start a new life in San Francisco and urbanize. But that wasn't much better. In fact, Mankiller often compared the situation to the Trail of Tears itself. She said, "I experienced my own Trail of Tears when I was a young girl. No one pointed a gun at me or at members of my family. No show of force was used. It was not necessary." Nevertheless, the United States government, through the Bureau of Indian Affairs, was again trying to settle the Indian problem by removal. I learned through this ordeal about the fear and anguish that occur when you give up your home, your community, and everything you have ever known to move far away to a strange place. I cried for days, not unlike the children who had stumbled down the Trail of Tears so many years before. I wept tears from my history, from my tribe's past. They were Cherokee tears. In San Francisco, all the promises made by the government were lies. Mankiller and her siblings enrolled in school there, but were bullied often for their looks and culture. After San Francisco, there was a period of time in which the whole family moved around, but Mankiller found something she was finally passionate about: helping her society. She graduated high school and went off to college. There, she met her husband, Hector Hugo Olaya de Bardi. She had 2 children with him, and after a while, she enrolled back into school. In the next few years, there were a few uprisings. In 1969, a group of American Indians go out to Alcatraz, the island prison that had been bought by some businessmen who wanted to redevelop it as some kind of tourist attraction. The American Indians went out, took over Alcatraz, and stationed themselves there to protest the Americans taking their land away. The outcome of it inspired Mankiller to become more involved in civil rights than ever. This also helped her reclaim herself, and to do that, she had to divorce her husband because she realized how much he was holding her back. He wished that she would just be a normal housewife, but she wanted to make a difference. In 1971, Mankiller's father, Charlie, died from a kidney disease in San Francisco, which she said tore through my spirit like a blade of lightning. She unfortunately inherited her father's kidney problems. This encouraged her more than ever. She founded EONAYC, or East Oakland's Native American Youth Center. She became a social worker and found her love for working with children. This was another important barrier in history she broke. Even today, Native American women make up less than 1% of all social workers, so you can only imagine how much she struggled to be seen as a professional. She helped place the Indian Child Welfare Act, which forbid any Native American child from being placed in a home that didn't have Native American parents. This allowed for the children to never have to stray from their culture. In 1976, Wilma and her mother moved back home. She settled down there, built a house, raised her daughters, and did volunteer work. She was returning home one morning when she was in a tragic car accident. Wilma was seriously injured, and many thought she would not survive. And if she did, they believed Mankiller would be paralyzed from the waist down. The driver of the other car wasn't lucky enough to survive. It turned out to be Sherry Morris, Mankiller's best friend. After countless surgeries, she left the hospital, but a few months after, she was suffering from what she thought was simply the aftermath of the accident. Later in November of 1980, Wilma was diagnosed with myasthenia gravis, a long-term neuromuscular disease that leads to a varying degree of skeletal muscle weakness. She eventually recovered, but it took a very large toll on her. After the accident, she was more motivated than ever, and she put all her energy into the community of Bell. Bell was a small village in Oklahoma. It was made up of poor Cherokee families, most of which didn't have running water. Mankiller helped organize a project to construct an 18-mile-long water system, and during this project, she met Charlie Soap, a full-blooded Cherokee, and later married. Wilma Mankiller ran for deputy chief of the Cherokee Nation in 1983 and won. She ended up serving in that position for 2 years. Then, in 1985, she ran for the position of principal chief for the Cherokee Nation. She ran against Art Nave and William Dew. As you could see in the chart above, Mankiller won by a landslide. She ended up having 9,674 votes, while Nave had 1,079, and Dew had 945. Mankiller was named the tribe's principal chief, breaking a huge barrier in history as the first woman to serve as the principal chief of the Cherokee people. But that wasn't an easy decision to be made. In fact, it was often stated that if they chose a woman to be chief, they would be the laughingstock of the whole nation. While she was swearing to the position, she said, "I've taken a fair amount of teasing about my name during this conference, and I finally got a little tired of it. Last night, when I got into the elevator, a man again teased me about my name, which is Mankiller. He asked me about the origin of it, and I said it was a nickname that I'd earned." She remained on the job for 2 full terms, winning elections in 1987 and 1991. Her car was vandalized, and her safety was threatened, but she relied on her knowledge of Cherokee and Indian culture for her confidence in the ability of women to lead the tribe. During both her terms, she was determined to improve the life of Cherokee people, and she did just that by creating a job center, increased the number of tribal health clinics, and brought jobs and businesses to the Cherokee jurisdiction. Summer programs for young people and adult literacy were added. She was able to double annual tribal revenue and triple tribal enrollment. In 1995, Mankiller was diagnosed with lymphoma and chose not to run again, largely due to health problems. When asked how she was able to do it all, she replied, "I think the Cherokee approach to life is being able to continually move forward with kind of a good mind and not focus on the negative things in your life and the negative things you see around you, but focus on the positive things and try to look at the larger picture and keep moving forward." She taught us how important mindset is. She had dozens of scenarios happen to her that would have made many other people give up, but she didn't focus on the negative things, and look at all that she was able to accomplish. In 1998, President Bill Clinton awarded Miss Mankiller the Medal of Freedom, the nation's highest civilian honor. The Presidential Medal seeks to recognize those people who have made an especially meritorious contribution to the security or national interests of the United States, world peace, cultural or other significant public or private endeavors. In Adair County, Oklahoma, Wilma Mankiller died from pancreatic cancer in 2010. About 1,200 people attended her memorial service at the Cherokee National Cultural Grounds in Tahlequah on April 10th. Wilma Mankiller died, leaving the country a better place than when she found it.